Welcome to our Pro Spotlight. Today, I'm going to introduce you guys all to Nick here in just a second, but I do want to give you a chance to let us know a little bit about who's here. So, if you don't mind, pop over into the Zoom meeting chat. Mike is ready. Love it. Let us know where
What
you're
up,
joining.
Mike?
Mike, what is happening, man? Let us know where you guys are joining us from. New Jersey, Tucson, Massachusetts, Branson, Colorado, Philly, Texas, Cali, all
Woo
over, man.
woo. All
Here
over
it
the
comes.
world, baby.
All over the world, man. We got some Canadians,
You
eh?
guys are Mr. Worldwide.
Yeah, and in like 2 seconds, we went north, south, east, west. We went international
I love it.
and everything in between, like Oklahoma City.
Casey, are
Love
you gonna sing us a song to kick
it.
me off, or no? Or is that
You
not part of this?
know, if you guys went to Connect this year, Nick is referring to the song that my boss, Anna, who you'll have seen on all of our training videos, asked me to sing. And I sang then, but today, Nick, it's just not about me. It's going to be about you. So, so
Oh,
maybe I'll have you sing a song for us. No.
I don't know about
Oh,
that.
man. Well, let
We
me
might
go ahead
have
and
viewers drop out.
yeah, love it. Love it. Well, hey, listen, guys. So this is our Pro Spotlight. If you are unfamiliar with what our Pro Spotlights are, let me just give you a brief sort of profile of what these times are. So every year in January, we have here in Dallas, we host our annual Connect conference. This year in January, where I sang that song, we had our Connect conference here in Dallas, Texas. And we had some incredible users, some of our software users and marketplace partners share during these education sessions some really great insights about ways to think about the software, tools to use in the software, partnerships within the software sort of ecosystem. And these Pro Spotlights are meant to be the opportunity that we give to you, those who might not have had the chance to go to Connect or who might be thinking about Connect, the opportunity to hear those same education sessions. And so we've invited Nick here to share his wisdom and to share his session. And he's got some updates, I think, because obviously nothing stays static. We always sort of, continue to evolve. And so what I will say about the Connect conference, about these Pro Spotlights, is that I think the community around this software is what makes JobTread easily the best contract construction project management solution on the market. It's this community of people willing to share, willing to invest time in other people as you've invested in your own business. And so I want to thank all of you more broadly for your engagement, whether that's in our Pro Spotlight, coming to these, whether it's in our Facebook group, JobTread Pros Facebook group, if that's in any of our think tanks or even in some of our regional trainings that we're going to do. Thank you for being a part of this community. It is what makes JobTread, the software, special, is that ecosystem around it. So today we are going to highlight Nick. He is joining us to share what he shared at his Pro Spotlight, I'm sorry, at his Connect education session. And so let me just give you a little bit of history about him. Nick Peret is the founder of Better Boss out of Littleton, Colorado. And Better Boss has been with us as a marketplace partner since May of 2025. And they are now certified integration marketplace partners of ours to help you get integrated into the software. They offer so many really great things that we have people all the time asking about this. So as you learn more from Nick today, begin to consider what they might be able to do to help you in your integration. But please check out their marketplace tile. I'll pop it into the chat as soon as Nick starts to present. But we are super excited that Nick has agreed to jump into the spotlight to present and to share with us. But before I turn it over to him, let me just say very quickly that there's two things that I want to make sure to draw your attention to. Actually, three. First of all, Nick is going to be sharing some really great resources throughout this time, and he has made some of those resources available to you. So if you all don't mind, move your mouse around so that you can see the toolbar at the bottom of your Zoom. And look, there is a resources. It looks like a staggered sort of file. If you click on that, there is going to be a link to some resources he's made available to you. If you're not able to get or just forget to get it here, I'm going to put it into the post that I'll have tomorrow. And then whenever we post it up on YouTube, you'll be able to see that link. I'll put it in the description there as well. So that's one thing. The second thing I want to make sure that you see is I want to make sure that you know that the chat where you've all begun talking to us, letting us know where you're from, is going to be where you are going to be able to make comments about anything that he talks about. If he asks you a question, you can respond there. That's what the chat is for. However, there is another space. It's the Q&A space. So if you see in that row of icons, it's a question mark inside of a talk bubble. If you click into that, if you have any questions that you would like to save for Nick for the Q&A at the end, I will moderate those questions to him. I'll answer any that might be more JobTread centric. But we'll freeze some questions and then we'll have a time for you to be able to ask him questions at the end. So if you do have questions, pop them in there. He has made himself available to answer those questions. So just know that that is possible. But we're going to try and freeze those for the end so that he can get through his presentation so that anybody that is on a time crunch can get all the good information and we're not stalling in the middle to answer a bunch of questions that I'm sure you guys will have, but we'll keep those for the Q&A at the end. Okay. All right. So his presentation today is going to be the 30-day JobTread automation blueprint. And so everyone, if you don't mind, all together now, let's in the chat, please give a warm JobTread welcome to today's Pro Spotlight guest presenter, Nick Peret. Here we go now.
Let's go. Casey, hey, thank you so much for the invite. Everybody who's tuning in all over the globe, I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for taking time out of your busy day, running and gunning to sit down with me and go over the 30-day JobTread automation blueprint. All right. So like Casey was saying, I actually gave this same presentation at JobTread Connect, right? We got a lot of great feedback and a lot of great questions. So I'm all about the engagement. So if you guys are out there and you guys got any kind of questions, we're here to help. This time is for you and we're here to serve. Now, when we gave this presentation, like Casey was saying, things evolve, right? You know, we gave the presentations and it was just a complete slide deck. I'm like, man, wouldn't it be great if I could showcase this real deal, right? Show you what it looks like and how to do it. So this time we actually got, if I can pull it up here, oop, oop, oop. A little screen glitch there. It freeze up on me like that. Hold up. Hold up, hold up. Let's just quit this bad boy. Hey, pull back up here. My bad, guys. The suspense, hey? All right, let's see here. Think we almost got it back. Hold up, hold up. Sorry, guys. Of course, Case took the time out of his day to make sure that everything was all right. And sure enough, we're back. Boom. Just like that. All right. With the blueprint. But as I was saying, we actually have a demo account that is built out now that I'm going to be showing you guys firsthand. All right. So now let's dive into this thing. All right. So like I said, I'm all about engagement. And I've been in the software game for over a decade. I think it's been about 12 years, 10 years as an entrepreneur. And I know, you go to a conference or you hear about this amazing software, right? And you purchase it and you're like, man, we're going to build this thing out. We're going to have our entire operating system right here in our JobTread system, automations, you name it. All right. So what I want you guys to do is give you some virtual hands, maybe throw it up in the chat. All right. You purchased JobTread with huge plans, but maybe you're only using 20% of it, right? Throw it up in the virtual chat. Let's get some honesty here. All right, Brandon, my man, thank you. 20%, right? We're going to help you unlock that other percentage, right? 10%, right? C, yes. 35, 30%, right? 5%, right? So you can kind of see the common trend here, right? So the whole goal of this is to show you guys how we can actually take that Ferrari, let you guys take it out for a spin, right? With all that horsepower and how step by step to implement it so it's not as overwhelming. All right. So let's just look at the elephant in the room. All right. So like I said, I've been in tech software for about 12 years. All right. And I was working for a tech startup company, and I was making 150 cold calls a day on the dialer system, right? So it rings, and I don't even know who we're calling. The lead pops up, they say hello, and I'm trying to find what kind of company it is and give my pitch, right? So I was out there grinding. If anybody's done cold calls or is cold calling, I salute you. All right. Um, and the first month I made it into President's Club and I was killing the game. Top sales rep. We go to Top Golf to go celebrate. I'm thinking I'm the man. As the months go by, I start to look into our clients' accounts and results, and almost nothing is set up. And they're not seeing any kind of ROI from the software. So after that, I lost my passion, went to the bottom of the totem pole, and was not a good sales rep, right? Because I ended up leaving the product. It When I look back at that, I wonder, was it a software problem or was it an implementation problem? Was that the missing ingredient? And more times than not, it's an implementation problem. And I'll tell you this, like I said, I've downloaded maybe 1,000 software. You guys are on the right software. When I look at JobTread, it's got all the bells and whistles. All the features that they develop is based off of your feedbacks and requests. All right. So let's get into this. All right. So we're going to do a little story time here, and it might be a little bit too relatable. So if it is, throw it up in the chat. Be honest with me. We've all been here. All right. So it's 6:47 Monday morning. Pick up your phone, right? First thing we do, 47 unread texts. Your crew doesn't know where exactly they're supposed to be. One customer is pissed off and threatened to leave a bad review. And that material order for the Thompson job, well, you're not sure if you ordered it. So now let's fast forward. It's Wednesday night, 9:47 p.m. You still haven't sent those 3 estimates. Your wife, your husband is mad at you once again because you missed dinner. You lost those 2 jobs that came in because you didn't respond fast enough. And honestly, you're just running out of gas. Now, when you're looking at the hidden tax of entrepreneurship in the construction industry, these are some just realities that we don't talk about enough. And when you implement your operating system, your systems, your procedures, all that good stuff, you can start to avoid this stuff. Now, I don't think you are sharing your screen. If you are, we can't see it. Look at the technical difficulties today, guys. I apologize. The tech guys is coming in here, just can't figure out Zoom. Just the one I can't figure it out, I guess. Thank you, Casey. I appreciate that. All right. So 77% of construction entrepreneurs report that they're just burnt out, right? So that means, if we have 100 people, 77 of those people are toasted. And reason being is 61% only are not even taking 5 vacation days a year. And this is now impacting their mental health and leading to mental health issues. 72% said their business is leading to poor mental health. And to make matters worse, 78%, right? Speed to lead of jobs are won by the first person who responds to that lead. Think about that. 78% speed to lead. I know you hear it over and over again, right? That's what automation and all great things. And they're working 50 to 60 hours plus a week, with 16 plus of those hours on admin work that can be automated. Think about this. That's 832 hours lost to admin every single year. That's 34 full work days. You can even make a few of those vacation days, right? Get rid of that burnout. Now, I know this is cliche, right? You hear it all the time. If you read business books, if you work with a coach or a consultant, right? Stop working in your business. Start working on your business. And that's what we're really going to be talking about today. All right. So when you're working in your business, it's hustle, grind, manual. Now, think about it. This is if you're an owner, if you're a leader, a manager, everybody comes to you with a million questions, right? They never really know what's going on. If you're building out an estimate or a new project, it feels like everything is starting from scratch. Communication is not that great throughout the organization, right? Versus working on your business, systems, automation, leverage. And you can achieve all this if you implement JobTread to its fullest capabilities, right? We're talking about document templates, we're talking about workflows, rinse and repeat processes that you can train somebody, put them in the system, and they can easily replicate what you used to be doing. That's the whole goal there. What I usually see is the owner, the operator has everything in their mind, right? Exactly how they operate their business. But in order to delegate and step out, right? Systems. Now, this is one of the reasons why I actually got into this space and decided to start Better Boss. Now, I've been working with contractors for over a decade. My dad was an electrician. My uncle was a custom home builder. My cousin was a plumber. You kind of name it, we had every trade in the Rolodex, right? And so I actually worked for Milwaukee Tool right out of college. So represent M18 Fuel, best tools in the game. Um, but I had two other businesses that I ran for 5 and 6 years, and I decided to sell my ownership in those to chase after this problem. I knew that software was a problem because one of the businesses that I did start was a sales automation and marketing company. So, we'd meet with our clients once a month, go over their results, what happened with those leads, what the ROI was, what revenue we were able to generate. And you just notice more and more that a lot of contractors just don't have their operations and their operating systems set up successfully in their software, right? And 70% of these software implementations fail, right? So 7 out of 10 of us just can't figure it out. And we're going to solve that problem today. But why, right? First off, it's the wrong foundation, right? So you jump in, you have a little bit of spare time, maybe it's after work, whatever it might be, and you start to build out, your catalog. And then you start to build out like an estimate template. You got some of this stuff going on. And then all of a sudden you look back at it, you're like, man, I don't even know what's going on in my catalog. Right. And so now you're already working with a mess. Right. They have no clear roadmap. Think about it. With all your projects, you have some kind of schedule that you guys follow, right? A game plan, right? You have blueprints, all these things. But whenever we go to implement our software, it's like, all right, I'm just going to jump to this because this looks like fun. They were talking about workflows, today on the internet. So I'm going to check that out, blah, blah, blah. We need a game plan to implement it successfully, one task at a time with deadlines, right? Smart goals, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. All right. And then time gets away with us, gets away, right? So you go online, you check out some YouTube, make sure you check out the Better Boss YouTube. We're always posting in there. Give it a subscribe. Appreciate that. But you watch all these videos or whatever it might be, and you finally get the time to go implement it, but then something comes up, right? And you just keep pushing it at the bottom of the priority list. All right. Let's push it back up to the priority list, make it something fun, exciting, and a huge opportunity to grow your business. Now, why the heck should you listen to this guy, this tech nerd over here with Better Boss? Like I said, I've been in the space for a decade, working with contractors of all types, all shapes and sizes. I've worked with over 500 contractors from zero to $50 million in annual revenue. I've seen what works and what doesn't. All right. We are a proud JobTread certified partner, and we hold a very high gold standard for our team to make sure that we're giving you guys nothing less than excellence. And that's why we're here today, to make sure that we're giving you guys some true value that's going to help you grow your business. And the amount of thousands of hours that we've spent in this system is absolutely ridiculous at all times of the day. Even when you guys are sleeping sometimes, right? If you get real hooked on it, you know how it goes. But yeah, even Better Boss, we use JobTread ourselves to make sure that we really know what's going on and can see what's really valuable to you guys. And I also, I built multiple seven-figure companies, and I'll tell you this is every single time starting it is never easy, and it's kind of like the Wild Wild West. And the whole goal is to take that Wild Wild West and start to really put some clarity to that chaos and help you guys create a scalable system that allows you guys to grow that business, like I said. Now, we here at Better Boss, um, we follow the boss method. This is our proven process. When I got into the software implementation game, I didn't think it was going to be as complex as it is. So I definitely underestimated it. So I get where you guys come from when you get overwhelmed about this process. And you do it enough times, you start to realize, just like you guys with your projects, one of the key ingredients to success, right, is to have a rinse and repeat process and a game plan, a schedule, right, that you stick by and you follow every single time because you know the results that you're going to get. All right. So the first thing is the blueprint. And this is the step that most people skip or overlook, right? And we'll go deeper into this, but we need to have discovery and we have to build a foundation. All right. Then we go into optimize. Now, optimize is honestly kind of the boring, mundane stuff, but it's the stuff that builds what you can build on top of. Okay. So this is where you're setting up like your job costing settings, your catalog, your custom views, all that good stuff. All right. Because then from there, you can systematize it. All right. Now, systematize is where you're going to see some of the fun stuff, the workflows, the estimate templates, the automation, right? The stuff that's really going to make an impact. I'm telling you, if you guys can get to this point, right, this is where you're going to see a lot of the benefits and you're going to be so pumped up about your setup because of all the time you're saving. I always say that business is hard enough. All right. It's not easy. No matter how talented you get, right? There's just always another level, right? So when you can get this stuff in place, it makes it a lot easier. You know, one thing I always focus on with our clients is where can we save them the most time and remove the most stress, right? And a big part of that is going to be like the estimating, right? If you're starting from scratch every time, it's hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, right? You got to think, hey, how many estimates are we sending a year? How many hours or how much time I'm spending per estimate, right? And then you can kind of see the time saving possibility. And then we go into scale. All right. So this is where we're going to optimize, making any kind of final revisions. I always like to take a job all the way from start to finish to make sure that we have a system that is built out thoroughly and there's no bottlenecks or snags. And then training. Biggest thing, we need to make sure that our team can adopt the system. All right. Once we get here, we still need adoption because if we can't get it to be adopted, we're still not going to win the game. Okay. So after that, you can launch. All right. So when we're looking at pre-launch, all right, I know it's super exciting. We got this new software, maybe we had it for a while, and we're finally going to make these big plays. And we're all pumped up. We're just gonna dive in. All right, let's just slow the roll a little bit. All right. Sometimes if we slow down, all right, we'll be able to go quicker throughout the entire build out and hit those deadlines. All right. So we always like to start with a 2-hour kickoff call with our clients. All right. We used to do 1 hour and I realized it's just not enough time because the biggest thing is, if your systems and your processes internally don't exist or they're not well thought out and systematized, then you can't really put much into the system, right? So during that kickoff call, I always like to go, hey, new lead comes in all the way to close and going through each step. What I like to do is if you're with a team, if you have team members that are key leadership that you want to include it in something like this, just record the conversation, right? You can do it on Zoom or use one of those AI recording tools. And then from there, transcribe it and then use those notes when you're planning your implementation plan. So we'll say new lead comes in. All right. What has to happen when this new lead comes in? What is our goal for this call, what questions do we have to ask and what information do we have to gather every single time, right? What tasks need to be done here and what communication internally and externally has to be done after that step. All right. Because you'll notice the more you can kind of map this out, you'll be like, oh, this would be a task template. Oh, okay, perfect. This is going to be one of the statuses. All right, this is going to be XYZ, right? So make sure you're planning that out and you can actually create a 30-day implementation plan. All right. Now let's see here. I've already had some text mess ups, so I don't know if I want to take this risk here, but maybe I'll pull it up a little bit later. But I actually have an implementation plan. What I'll do is I'll give it to Casey that you guys can take. We actually use the Gantt charts directly inside of JobTread to build out an implementation plan. So if you guys were going to handle this implementation yourself, it'd be a good idea to import that into like a test job in your JobTread system and just follow that as you go along. And make sure you guys are holding yourselves to those deadlines just like a real job. All right. And then from there, we just want to make sure we're looking at all our other systems. So if we have QuickBooks, anything like that, we want to kind of review all of our integrated tools, right? And what we want to keep, maybe what we want to get rid of, etc. All right. Another good thing to kind of think about, especially with the stuff like the estimating templates, the catalog, we always like to get an idea of who are our suppliers. Okay. Do we have a login that we can kind of scrape out the information, the products that we want to add in, right? What are we doing in-house? What do we subcontract out? And then if you are using subcontractors, do we have rates, right? Because you're going to be going by per trade, especially even like remodeling, custom home building, right? If you have like a square footage rate, et cetera, it's going to be a lot easier to utilize things like parameters, quantity formulas, et cetera. All right. And so once all of that is done, you're ready to launch your implementation. Now, this is kind of just what I talked about before. This is what we're looking at, the information we're trying to gather prior to actually going into implementing and going into that blueprint stage. You can be thinking about custom fields and whatnot too, but we'll go into that here in a second. Now I can actually show you guys some real deal stuff here. All right. So I told you guys we have a demo account that we built out. Now I'm actually going to show you guys. All right. Remember, we have BOSS, Blueprint, Optimize, Systematize, and then Scale. All right. So this is where we're starting with the blueprint. We got just our general settings, our job cost review, custom fields, catalog build, custom views, which I think is so underrated, custom dashboards. Then in Canva, we always like to make a cover page for every single one of the document templates that we then build out. All right. Let's see if we can. Where is my, oh, that's right. I put it into this one tab and I had this thing all set up, man. All right. So welcome to Better Boss Remodeling. Like I said, this is the demo account, so we can actually show you guys what it looks like and how you guys can do it yourselves. All right. So we're always going to be starting with the general settings, right? So there's not a whole lot that I want to talk about here. Obviously, make sure you're uploading your brand, your colors, all that kind of stuff. If you want a default folder for every single job, you can set it up right here. But the one thing I do mess with quite a bit is honestly just the main navigation, right? Being able to reorder this. For me, I'm a little bit OCD, so I'm always kind of switching it up, figuring out the way I want to kind of see my information on the navigation side. But basically, if you want to switch this over, right-hand side, just click and drag. For me, it's always just like, jobs, customers, that's going to be a hierarchy. They're going to have some documents that I care about a lot, right? And then we use schedule and to-dos all the time, right? So if you're not, I definitely suggest that you guys utilize those to this fullest capabilities and just kind of see the impact in the organization. But this is really just the way you want to see the info. For me, this is the way that I like it. Now, whenever we're starting a project, I always suggest starting with your cost codes, okay? So we got units, cost types, cost codes. We really want to have these settings dialed in from the start, right? This is going to impact our catalog. This is going to impact the QuickBooks integration, you kind of name it. So we want to make sure that we have this built out. Now, this is just the standard cost codes because we're implementing all types of industries in here. So we just kept it pretty simplistic. But if you want help with that, you can go to the help desk, right? You can go to industry guides, pick your industry, and then JobTread recommendations. All right. You can go to cost codes right here. All right. And this is going to give you the recommended ones. If you don't know where to start or cost codes have been confusing you like crazy, all right, I would go there and implement those based off of your industry. All right. Now, when you're done, all right, so a lot of things that I see with the QuickBooks integration with the errors, I want to try to resolve those and see if any of this helps you guys. You can go to your reports and go to QuickBooks, all right, and then you can go into products and services, hit download. Now, when you go into your QuickBooks online account, you're going to go and you're going to upload those products and services, two products and services under the, I think the sales module in QuickBooks Online. And then when you go to your settings and integration, right, click on QuickBooks, and you'll be able to map those up. So your cost codes will be products and services inside of your QuickBooks. Now, one area that I see a lot where people almost have it is you have to set an income account and an expense account inside of QuickBooks. So a lot of people will just set an income account, but forget the expense account. And now that two-way sync is not mapping up properly. All right. So if you have that error, check that out and see if that's possibly the issue, because that two-way sync is money and you don't see that very often with QuickBooks. All right. So now once that's done, I want to be going into my custom fields. Now, custom fields I absolutely love. There is so many different tools and softwares out there. They don't even allow you to create custom fields, right? And so this is the best way to customize your system. So whenever I'm going about this, I'm like, all right, on every single customer, job, vendor, line item, what information do I want to be tracking every single time, right? Because from there, you can make those KPIs, things you want for custom views, dashboard tiles, right? You kind of name it. This is where you can make the system really yours, right? So think about this. I think a lot of this stuff can be, discussed in the kickoff session, right? And be really strategic with the information that you're tracking, right? Why are we tracking this and why is this important? I think a lot of people don't have things like KPIs for different people and throughout their organization. And it's hard to hold people accountable to that without having KPIs. So this is a great opportunity to set stuff up like that right inside of here. All right. Now, once that's done, we'll be going into the catalog. All right. So with the catalog, of course, we got the global catalog here. So if you have Home Depot, QXO, or SRS, make sure you're going into settings, integrations, and integrating those suppliers. I mean, I was just building out the new selection tool and I just used Home Depot for all of those selections. And man, it was so easy. I got my updated pricing. I got my photos. Woo! So make sure you guys are checking that out. Super easy setup there. All right. Now, with the cost catalog, it's easy to want to kind of throw everything inside of it and see what happens. I think be very strategic with what you put into the system, right? Because it's a process to have to go out and clean it. You can always add. It's easier to add than take away, right? So be strategic with it. Try to keep it organized, everything like that. I definitely think supplier is always a great custom field to make sure you guys are throwing that in there to kind of categorize it by supplier and things like that, right? Now, when we're looking at the custom views, you know what? We'll do the dashboards first. So for the dashboards, I know there's been a lot of questions for the dashboards. So what we like to do is kind of build out a few different dashboards for different departments or areas of the business that we want to be tracking. Personally, I love the activity, so I put it on every single one. I want to know what's going on, the latest and greatest news and whatnot. Now, what I like to do here is basically I'll set up one dashboard first, right? And I like to have a mix of charts, reports, right? And so charts going to be anything with the visuals, right? Which I like to see. I'm a very visual person. But then I like to have some other things too. So like, customer payments. We have monthly jobs won by type, right? By lead source, right? Amount per status. I like to see anything with the pipeline for sure, because then it's like, all right, I got 500K in appointment set right here, right? Probably should be in ballpark estimate, but still, basically I can be like, hey, this is an opportunity for me to kind of take some pending orders and push it in to drive some revenue, right? Monthly jobs are owned by lead source. All right, look, it looks like the website's been hot. The SEO company's doing really good, right? YouTube, Facebook, okay, right on. So what I like to do is once I have this completed and I actually have a dashboard that I do like, I like to just clone it and then from there, go into the dashboard tiles and just change what the report is, right? So if there's one that was sales, maybe I change the next one to documents and I wanted to look at accounts receivable. So I'm going to do, customer invoices, pending orders, or whatever it might be, right? And then I just go that and I do that with each one of the tiles, right? Easy way to have a layout that you guys like, right? And is visually appealing and has the charts and reports that you guys like to see, right? And then just manipulate the data that you guys are having populated for that new dashboard, right? So we got the financial war room here. We got the deal desk, boom, boom, and then project, monthly time, job percent completion, boom, boom. Love it. Now, the custom views, like I said, the custom views is very, very underrated. All right. I absolutely love my custom views. You can even have, formula columns, which I always do. But basically, I like to have my Kanban view, my sales pipeline, right? This is going to be the first thing I want to see on my jobs, right? Remember, you can click and drag your different views. You can star it to put it as the first one that you see. But basically, you can see the information, of course, is your pipeline, right? You could have your open jobs with pending orders. So these are jobs who we sent an estimate to who haven't closed yet. So if I'm in sales or I'm looking to generate some revenue, I could be like, all right, what do we got here? What could we possibly close to bring in some revenue? The WIP report, right? Your work in progress. Now, what I love about JobTread is going to be that centralized budget system, right? Everything happens from that budget, which allows you guys to have real-time job costing per project, right? So you can be like, hey, this is what we projected for, our profit margin, and this is actually what the budget variance was. So our projected profit was actually less because of blah, 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 right? Earn revenue, invoice, all that great stuff, right? So basically what you can do is you can use custom views for, of course, things like pipelines, but basically separate reports that allow you to see the information whatever way you want to. Now I'm running everything out of jobs. I know that people go back and forth with, hey, do we have a customer pipeline? And then once that get to the estimate point, they switch over to jobs. I'm creating a job for every single lead that's coming in. All right, that's the way I like to do it. And then I just have one pipeline to manage. For me, I think that's the best way to do it. With the customers, I'm basically just using this as like a contact sheet. Not doing a whole lot out of here, to be honest with you. Um, but documents, right? The documents, huge. You can see all these different custom views. We can do it by type. We can do it by status, right? You kind of name it. And now my schedules, my to-dos, I told you I absolutely love these, right? So we got the calendar view. Uh, this is the one that I think I would be working out of the most if I were you guys, right? Where I'm able to just kind of go in here and see exactly where my projects are at, right? This is kind of like the dream, right? You got to think, back in the day when you weren't able to do this, this is the dream right here to be able to go in and just see everything in one place. Woo! And then the to-dos too. So, I mean, Better Boss uses JobTread, and I'll tell you this, the way we do it, all our implementations, all our projects that we're working on, we're running that in the Gantt schedule in the schedule view. And then for to-dos, I'm usually doing like a weekly hit list. So that's more like organizational tasks. And so on Friday or Monday for that week, what I'll do is I'll go in and I'll actually kind of build out our hit list for our team of all the things that we have to do and accomplish for the week, right? Kind of gives us a roadmap for the week and say, hey, we got to hit all this stuff. Um, Let's see. I don't find this view helpful because I can't filter it out by PM. So I would say, Michael, if you were going to um, do that, I believe you should be able to filter it out by assignees, I believe. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. So you'll be able to go in here and you'll actually be able to filter it out by assignee. So as long as you're using the schedule, assigning the PM, um, you shouldn't have any issues. I sent Brittany's email there too. So if you got any questions, you want us to shoot you a video or something, just let us know. Um, yep. So that's basically it there. I'll kind of go in the catalog and we're kind of moving on to the next thing here, which is going to be the document templates. So document templates are absolutely amazing. All right. So if you guys don't have Canva, I suggest getting it. You can, build sales presentations. You can build, these cover pages and anything you want to add to these document templates. So we usually go into Canva, we build out cover pages for each one of the templates. I don't care if it's sending it to a vendor, customer, we just always look sharp, right? So once that's done, then I'll actually go in here and I'll start to build out the estimate templates, the bid request templates, everything like that. So what I like to do is we like to kind of spice it up a little bit, right? Using their markdown of JobTread's markdown, you can kind of put in all your scope information or whatever customization you have to do. You can basically just highlight it and edit it before you send it, but still save a ton of time. So I like to break it up just with the colors because I think visually, it's just more appealing and stands out and makes it a little bit easier to consume. Put in your contract information. And then what I love about this too is going to be the payment schedule. All right. So if you guys don't have your payment schedule set up on your customer orders yet, please go turn it on. All right. So basically you can go to payment schedule and you can have it set where as soon as they hit accept, it will automatically send the deposit, the first initial invoice on acceptance, right? And then if you put the remaining progress, billing, or however you do it in the payment schedule, it actually draft the remaining invoices so you already have those ready to go in the job, right? So highly suggest doing that. You put on a nice cover page, play the part, look sharp. And then the kind of like the last thing too, I'll say here, is you can set the way you want to see it, right? So a lot of people are very particular about the way they want to show their line items and the proposal and everything like that. So if you want to have financing, select whatever you want to show to the customer. You can even put in your email template so that every time you hit send, this will be ready to go there as well. So definitely check them out. Hope show. All right, let's see what we got here. Here I am. I'm back. All right, I think we covered everything there. All right, so now we got optimize. All right, so we just talked about a lot, right? So you're feeling pretty good about where you're at and what you just accomplished, right? You're already seeing the progress, but we always say, hey, this is a great point to just kind of get back with your team, the leadership team, and kind of go over where you're at. If there's any kind of questions or clarity that you guys have to figure out together prior to moving forward. All right. If everything kind of checks the box and you're feeling confident, then it's time to go into the real optimizing of the system. Where can you save the most time? It's definitely going to be the estimating templates. All right. So when we're looking at the estimating templates, you have the opportunity to utilize parameters and formulas. All right. Now we'll go into this, but basically you can create quantity formulas, unit price, unit cost formulas, and it's going to save you so much time. All right. Now, when you're doing this with parameters, it can be things that you just manually punch in. It could be measurements, right? But JobTread's got some great integration partners here. So Hover, Render, and Eagle View. Right? It could be depending on the type of work you do. Hover is going to be exterior, Render is going to be interior, Eagle View is going to be more of a roofing specific measurement tool. But we'll kind of go over how you can integrate that for these different templates. All right. And I'm telling you, I've talked to people who've been in the game for 20 years in business and they're spending, 8 hours on a Saturday to put their estimate together. So we would definitely want to avoid that. All right. And this is how we do it. Now, when we're looking at this, this is the way I suggest going about it. You go into jobs and then you make a test job for each one of your core services, right? So think about the 3 to 5 core services you have. They could be different roofing systems. They could be a kitchen, a bathroom model, an addition remodel. It could be a custom home and a spec home, whatever it is. Think about your core services because ideally, right, as we're optimizing, we're kind of cutting the fat, right? Everybody hates me when I bring this up because I know it's a pain point. It's Wild Wild West, right? You start your business and you get all these different services. You're doing everything, right? But I'll tell you this, every time I started a company and I've started doing less for less people, I got so much better at it. My revenue, my profit margins go up, you name it. So focus on your core, right? What are you the best at? And what are the customers seem to be the most happy with? All right. So let's see here. I'm gonna go into this one here. All right. So this is kind of a cool example. We just worked with a client that basically they had hover and they had render, right? So they had a tool that they could take, a 3D rendering, get all the measurements for the interior and the exterior, right? So the way you do this is when you're in this job, let's say it's for this particular job, right? You're on the job dashboard. On the bottom left, it's going to say hover, render, all this stuff. After you go to settings and integrate them, you're going to click on that. And then when you click on it, it's going to pop up with a list of all your jobs. You select the job and then you say import, right? And it's going to import the parameters, right? And so it's going to give you different areas, linear feet, boom, 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 right? So now when you're in that job, you go to the budget and up there it'll say parameters. It'll show you all those measurements and all the things and the values that got pushed over from those tools, right? So if you're using hover and render for this job, you can see here these are the parameters and the information that they're getting shot over from hover and render that we can utilize to calculate our quantities, right? Saves you so much time. All right. Now, with this, I'm telling you, the best way if you can get to the point is to be able to use like square feet rates that you have from different subcontractors. This allows you to get estimates out super, super quick. All right. So definitely suggest that. I wanted to go over here. If you look into the selection here, right? So if you guys are messing with the new selections tool, pretty cool. All right. Now you got to be thinking with all these tools, with the selection tool, with the document templates, with the customer portal, you guys have an opportunity to provide such a unique client experience that people are just not used to getting from contractors. And it's all about presentation. So always put yourself in the shoes of the homeowner, the property owner, right? And give them a presentation. All right. So that's going to allow you to sell more, right? We want to increase our average ticket size and we want to increase our close rate. So we can get estimates out quick with a great presentation that's extremely seamless, that makes it very easy for people to go in and select higher ticket items. Do it. All right. So do that presentation, blow their minds. All right. So now we'll go into schedule templates. So for the schedule templates, there's no right or wrong way to do it. For me, I'm like, hey, to-dos, I'm going to import a to-do task template for the new leads, anything that's before like pre-construction, I like to import task templates for. And you can do that with a workflow, right? When a new job goes into this stage, import a task template, right? After that, for me, I like to go into the schedule template, all right? So this would be, like I said, you could do pre-construction and construction, right? This can be for a custom home. But pretty cool things you can do with that. And because then once you utilize those, you can just import them in and boom, you can see all your jobs and you have a rinse and repeat schedule that's easy to follow. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Boom, boom. Estimate, measurement integrations. We got Systematize. All right. Last time I was on one of these things, I think I only went 30 minutes and now I'm cutting my time here. All right, so now we'll go systematize. All right, so we got custom notifications, automation workflows, reviewing that QuickBooks integration, and then the training dashboard. All right, so I'll say this. The custom notification is underrated. It goes up there with the custom views almost, in my point. All right, so workflows are the new sexy thing, and they're so cool, right? But if you just want some reminders, if you want some kind of alerts, and you want something that's a little bit easier to figure out, start with the custom notifications. All right, check those out, and you'll see you'll be able to set up some cool reminders and automations pretty quickly. All right, remember with automations, it's always if, then, if, then. If this happens, then this happens. So a document is updated. Then the job status is automatically changed and a task template is imported, right? If, then, if, then. All right. So like for this one, you can see here, invoice due today, trigger 0 days. So when it's due at 9 a.m. and the customer invoice is still pending, right? Send an alert. Select who you want to send it to. Do you want an internal reminder? Do you want a customer reminder? Et cetera, et cetera. All right. But then for workflows, all right. So workflows can be complex, right? So any kind of automation just seems like there's some additional complexity, right? Now, if you're overwhelmed, hit the plus workflow, import from library, right? There's a great starting point right here with built-out workflows that JobTread has already done for you. So give a huge shout out to them. And that's for this demo account. I just imported some from their library. Now, what I like to say here too is you'll notice it's A, B, C, D. I like to have that for everything, right? So it doesn't matter if it's your job status or something like this with the workflows. You want to kind of keep everything organized in the way the process goes. It's just easier to kind of consume and understand it. So for this example, you can see here, workflow, customer order reminder, if not approved 2 days before due date. So we sent them a proposal. It's due in 2 days. They still have not approved it, right? So we send them a reminder. That reminder says, oh man, I forgot to accept this. They accept their proposal. It automatically updates the job status when the customer order is approved to approved. All right. And when that happens, it imports the task template for pre-construction, permitting, whatever it might be. All right. And then remember, you had the payment schedule set up so it automatically sent them that first invoice, right? So we send the invoice not paid, right? After 3 days, we send a reminder, they paid it, perfect. We finish the job, we get to close the job, right? So when we move it to close one, it automatically closes that job and then sends a review or a request for a review. Boom, right? So that's kind of that there. What I like to show you guys quick is these training dashboards. So we use this tool called Tango AI. And basically what I do is I go in or me and my team, and we actually do like a test job or document, whatever it is, and it screenshots and puts notes for each one of those, and puts it into an SOP guide. All right. So we like to do that and then have a training dashboard. So I highly suggest having some kind of documentation, some kind of training put together, and then just putting it into dashboards so your team can utilize it. All right. So for example, I'll show you this. This is the Tango AI right here. Now, ours is free. You can access our guides for free. But if you had a $22 account, you can just hit this guide me. And what's cool is it's actually going to guide you directly on the page. All right. So guide me on this page. It's going to be right here in the sidebar. Oops. I'm getting all excited over here. So you can see, click on settings. All right. So I'll click on settings. All right. Click on workflows. Boom. And so it almost dumbs it down so much and shows you exactly what to do that once you have the process optimized, you can make it just rinse and repeat, right? Because it's literally going to pop up right then and there. Ideally, ownership, management, right? They're not getting bogged down by endless questions because the information is already there. All right. Boom, boom, boom. Then scale, and I'll start bringing this to a close. I appreciate you guys. Sorry for going a little bit over here, but the final is run a full system test. Okay, so take everything you built out and do test runs with it. I would suggest doing a practice job, running it all the way through, making sure that there's no bottlenecks or snags or issues where it's kind of a difficult step in the process, or maybe it's not working the right way. Make those final revisions, polish it up, and then train. You know, I see this all the time, right? People hate change, right? I remember I tried to switch somebody from a super old system one time, and they just didn't want it. But by the time we had their JobTread completely set up. They were so stoked. But the reason why they got stoked is because we made them do hands-on training, make them do test jobs, run it through, maybe even quiz them, right? Do it in small groups. And once they see how much easier it can make their life and how much time they can save, they're going to buy in, right? And then everybody's going to reap those benefits. Once that's done, you're going live. All right. Now, remember, process optimization, right? Building this stuff out is an ongoing basis. So every year you should continue to put time, effort, money, energy into something like this because your processes will always continue to grow and develop as you grow and scale your business. So best of luck out there, guys. If you want to check out our website, you can scan the QR code there. But we got a few minutes and I will stay till whenever if we got more questions. But I appreciate you guys all. And so whatever questions you guys got, let me know.
All right, Nick, thank you so much, my man. I appreciate you. I want to just go ahead, excuse me, and make sure that you guys, first of all, know this is recorded. So we will have the ability for you to watch this back. Tomorrow, it'll be on our help desk. It'll be on our website. It'll be on our YouTube. I will put the link to Nick's resources there. Several of you asked about the AI that he was just talking about. Tango AI was what you were using. So
Yep.
check that out. We did have several questions. We had some specific questions. We had some broad questions. First of all, I feel like this is a slam dunk, but Joe says, I've been on JobTread for 4 years now and have a lot of information built out, but need to organize it. Is that something that you could help with?
100%. Better-boss.ai. Schedule a call with us. We'd love to help you out, my man.
Okay, awesome. Here, what I'll do is I have got this web address here. I'm going to pop this into the chat. Make sure that you guys grab that, and then we'll get you over to the right place. All right. Thanks for that question, Joe. Anonymous attendee, so very clever naming convention from your parents. Just kidding. Says, do we have the templates or the view for dashboards already built and replicable on JobTread? So I know the answer to that, but I would love for you to tell them the answer to that.
So with the dashboards, I know there's some partners that will give you, I think like DataX will have some that's built out already. And then I know you guys are having some where aren't you guys going to set it up where you can import it? I think and the feature roadmap or product roadmap, isn't that the case?
Yep, that is absolutely the case. So yeah, DataX is going to be a great partner. We do have in the very near future something rolling out where essentially you'll be able to copy tiles and just while you're on here, we've also got some really great updates coming to your dashboards where you're going to be able to put specific things like upcoming trainings, specific trainings that you would like for your teams to go to. You could put a list where maybe potentially you filter out trainings that you're not looking for, only filter out the ones that you are. So we've got some updates coming there. But yeah, so the dashboards are going to be having sort of a second level of facelift. But if you're looking for some of those specific types of dashboards, DataX has some great options. And then we've got some great trainings on how to create those. If you go to the help desk, I believe it is our 204, I can't remember, training that's going to be for dashboards, and it's great. So maybe 109. But anyway, yeah, so we do have some of that. Let's see.
Also, I just want to add, I love custom views. I know they seem a little underrated, but if you make a custom view, you can copy that over into your dashboard tiles. So great way to kind of knock out both of those.
Say that one more time for the people in the back. You can turn a custom view into an actual dashboard tile. And depending on what type of information it is, you can actually leverage the visualizations. If you want it in a graph, you want it in a chart. So I know that we've got some that I do in training where maybe I would like to see the closed jobs by lead source. So you could have those data points, closed jobs, lead source, and use those to give you a nice table where you're able to see which lead sources are converting to closed won jobs. So cool things. Again, all of that is based on the fields that you're already collecting information. So the data is there for you. You just have to leverage it. Let's see. So we've got Antonio, who asked, yeah, so we do, but I'm going to let you talk to him about maybe potentially like what your solution would be. Antonio Almada said, can you make it set up a notification for change orders? And he was referring to your workflow automations. So, what have you seen? What have you guys done when it comes to workflow automations with change orders? Maybe with the notification as the
So I
primary.
guess what's the circumstance? Basically that someone requested a change order, or what do you think, Casey?
Yeah, Antonio, let me know in the chat what exactly you're looking for there.
Let me see here
Um,
too.
because there are many different circumstances or situations that might involve a change order. So, what kind of a
Update
notification are you looking to be triggered with your
order.
change order? Let's see, I think, yeah, Antonio's still there. When one is created. Okay, so um, Antonio, typically you're going to be the person creating those change orders.
Yeah.
So, what notification are you wanting a notification? Because if you send out a change order, naturally you are going to be alerting your customers, or at least having that conversation. Office manager can see. So you're
So you could
looking,
do so maybe you could do a document updated, right? And then you could filter it to make sure that it's a change order and then do some kind of alert or comment to the office manager, or what would you say?
yeah, I actually think that
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah. I think that'd be
Yep.
perfect. Yeah, I would always just say it's just like just think about, it's always gonna be triggers and actions, right? So I would really just analyze the triggers first and just be like, all right, these are the opportunities I have. All right, if a document is updated, if a file is created, all those things, and it's like, okay, if this happens, what do I want to happen? Right? And kind of put those in different buckets and just break it down that way, kind of simplifies the process.
Yeah, so go ahead. A couple people have been asking questions. Pop those over into the Q&A just so that we can kind of keep them all organized. I did want to answer Reese's question about this recording. The link to this recording will be both in our help desk, our external facing website, and then also on YouTube at the JobTread YouTube channel. So you'll be able to find that there. Let's see. So Crystal's question was, can I do an automation in JobTread for if a file is uploaded, copy it to Google Drive. I have it in Zapier, but would like to cut out Zapier. Have you seen?
So it would be what? So file is updated or file is created. And then, so I think you'd still have to have basically you can end it on a webhook. So
Uh-huh.
you'd still have to send the webhook to something. So in that case, I'd probably just keep honestly the Zapier. Um, Now remember, it's like with the webhook stuff, it can get a little bit more complex, and now you're kind of usually bringing in different tools. But basically, you could have it where you can see they'll have once I save it, they give you a webhook link. All right. And now that's the JobTread webhook link for a trigger, right? So basically, if I give this to another tool, if something happens in another tool, this workflow is going to start by that getting triggered, right? And then go from there. But yeah, I would still probably just keep Zapier at that point.
Absolutely. Yeah, there are more that we're going to continue to work in, and this is going to be a good opportunity for me to pitch a nice opportunity for you guys to get to ask more questions live. So Nick is going to join us. He's actually going to join Sam Levenger, who is our resident automated workflow automation guy here at JobTread. He's the guy that has been really instrumental in helping us to integrate with Zapier, but also he's the guy that has really made sure that our own library of workflow automations are available. He's the guy that did the videos. He'll do the trainings whenever we do workflow automations. And he's going to join Nick so that you guys can really work through together any things that you're looking to create. Thursday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, Nick and Sam will be actually, that's funny. That's a great steakhouse here in Dallas. Nick and Sam's
Is
just,
it really?
yeah, Nick and Sam's. Anyway, so Nick and Sam will be here. So go into the help desk, look for that Thursday think tank workflows and automations, and they'll be able to walk you through some of that stuff. And Sam does have a lot of experience with Zapier as well, but he's going to be able to translate how it works differently potentially in JobTread, though Nick did a good job when he was
And
talking about webhooks at the
yeah,
end.
and so come hang out with me, right? Again, 2 times in 1 week. Let's do this. Let's dial it in. Let's get some progress going on what we just talked about. But I will tell you this, I know Zapier and some other things can be scary sometimes, but if you do have other tools, right? JobTread's open API is absolutely incredible. We're messing with it every single day. So information can flow in and flow out. And if there's anything that's not integrated, I'm telling you, when you integrate those tools, the amount of time you can save is ridiculous. One of my first job trades implementation was my groomsman at my wedding, my buddy Omar. He's got, concrete excavation grading shoring company out in Hermosa Beach, right? Dude, he had 12 hours every Monday. He was taking all these different tools that weren't integrated into a main central source of truth. And it was just 12 hours every Monday, and we cut that out, right? I mean, the amount of time he saved is just ridiculous. So sometimes it's
Mhm.
worth it.
Yeah, I do want to hit on one thing. Amir asked if we could highlight the difference between those notifications, those custom notifications, and workflows. Um,
So the workflow is going to be more complex, so you're going to have more power, right? So like with a workflow, you can have it set up where there's one trigger and you're doing multiple actions. So you're adding in a task template, you're updating a job status, you're doing all these different things. But sometimes it's easy to get lost and a little bit overwhelmed. But with like the custom notifications, you have 10 that you can set up and you can send, reminders and whatnot and communication, right, to anybody internal, customers, or vendor, right? You can do it in an app, you can do an email reminder, all that great stuff. So, like for this example here, an invoice is due today, right? And you can see there's different filters. So basically, the trigger is 0 days because the document's due right now, right? This is the time they're going to send it. This is the type of document, right? Because we're filtering out by only customer invoices that are pending, right? Now you get to pick who you're going to send that alert to, right? So you can set up the different roles, your customer, is it going to be email, whatever it might be, and then just hit save, right? So this is going to be a little bit simpler, but it's a great way to get quick wins with automations.
yeah, and I will say Teresa Fugate's question was asking about the notification there at the bottom of the custom notification list. That's actually a custom notification that is already there for everybody. That COI expires.
Yeah.
So it's one for your vendors, and what you can do is essentially you're just going to have to collect that data about your vendors when their expiration is, and then you can have that specific custom notification tell you you don't have that in your list. I'm not sure why that wouldn't be there. I think at least it's in a lot of all of my. I wonder if it was deleted. But yeah,
I think this
so
was built in, I think. All these were.
yeah, I'm pretty positive that you have those four naturally.
So
Teresa
it's,
said she doesn't. Do you want to show her how it's just like what the filters
yeah,
are? You can easily
100%.
create those. You have 10 that you can
So
create.
basically, you're just going to hit new if it's not there then. All right. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go for the trigger. You're going to do 30 days before, right? Or whatever time before the vendor COI expires. All right. And then you can select the time of day that you want to send this notification. All right. And then right here, you're just going to go to your vendor and then you can set it up where it's in app, push notification, or email. Just select whichever one and then just hit save.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, Teresa. We did have, I actually had a question. So Cindy's question was about the sort of demo account that you set up. She
Mhm.
said that you had sort of a demo page that you were working in, and she was asking if there was a way that she could work in a demo page. Do you want to explain to her what she's looking at?
So basically, it's funny because you get a demo account. We're partners of
Mhm.
JobTread, so we get a demo account for that partnership. But we love JobTread so much, we actually use JobTread at Better Boss ourselves. So we kept that one for our organization, and then we just purchased an organization and used the awesome JobTread org connector tool. And basically, over the last couple of weeks here, what I've done is, I've taken all these contractors that we had an opportunity to work, all the projects that we kind of built out, and our method to the madness, if you will, for pool builders, remodelers, roofing contractors, outdoor living. I mean, you kind of name it, we've had an opportunity to work with them. And basically just kind of put it in here where we have all the different, schedules and estimate templates. You kind of name it, doesn't really matter what contractor you are. Um, trying to get to the point where we can help these contractors even quicker, right? We implement everything in 30 business days, but it's a lot, and we're trying to get even faster for you guys so you guys can win even quicker. So I'm going to be making a ton of videos though on all of this. So basically, everything that I've done here is going to be part of the content that we'll create, showcasing how to build these different things, whether it's to-do templates, schedule templates, estimate templates, doc templates, workflows, dashboards, you kind of name it. So definitely make sure you check out the YouTube channel for sure.
Yeah, and what I will say is that every one of you should probably consider creating a test customer, a test job,
100%.
and just play. Like, make sure that you understand. Do it on a fake job for a fake customer so that you can create some views, figure out what works, figure out what you like, but play around. I mean, honestly, like we've all known this from young. Like, play is the way to learn. And so, get in the
Hmm.
software, play around. Go to things like the think tank, and then utilize services like Nick and Better Bosses. Actually, David had a question about what you guys offer. He said, do you work with a checklist to cover all of this in terms of implementation if we sign up for your services?
100%. So, like I said, you do enough of these and you spend enough thousands of hours working on all different types of contractors, you start to get really good at like the project management, the deliverables that have to get delivered to really have a fully built out system that you can just reap the benefits from. So we have, if you go to better-boss.ai, you'll kind of see this is just like the boss formula, 30 business day implementation. And, it kind of goes through the exact process that we went through with the boss, right? Blueprint, optimize, systematize, and scale, and all the deliverables that we kind of showed there. So we always start with the boring stuff, right? And then just like Casey was saying, what we do is every time we work with somebody, we're going to take your core services and we're going to create a test job for each one of those core services, right? Then everything that we do in the budget will actually get pushed over into the cost group, right? So even for things like the client intake, right? I always like to get as much information as possible at the forefront before my site walk, right? So what we'll do is we build on the budget, what questions we want to have in here, send them as customer write-ins, right? And then from there, we send them a document that's a client questionnaire, right? That they can just kind of complete. But basically, anything that I'm doing, doesn't matter if it's something like that or if it's, estimate template or whatever it might be, right? I'm gonna build it out in the test job and then I'm gonna select all and then export selected to catalog cost group, right? I do the same thing with schedules, to-dos, all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna build it out in a test job and then push it over to the catalog and save it from there.
Bryce had kind of a follow-up question relative to what you guys do. He said, if we've been using JobTread for a while and it is a mess, does Better Boss organize and optimize, or do we have to clean things up before working with Better Boss?
We can definitely help you with the cleanup part, right? So I think usually in a situation like this, right, we're going to start back with the settings and then definitely that catalog. And then if I had to guess, usually, with a lot of people we see, they have like a ton of cost groups that were pushed over, right? We're going to go in there if we can, we'll kind of keep the best ones and revise, but we won't get rid of all that mess because when it's so messy, it dilutes it and we want to make sure everything's organized. And it's a good thing too if you guys don't work with us, right? Where it's like you have a periodic thing, a timer where you're like, all right, we're going to do a clean or a cleanse to keep the data cleansed and get rid of old stuff that you guys aren't using anymore. That way, there's no confusion throughout the organization. And then also, it's like once a year, I'll just be looking at my processes and be like, all right, hey, what have we grown out of, or what is this not really working, and what processes can we improve?
Yeah, that's good. So Alexander's question was about BIM integration into JobTread and Revit integration, which I'm not sure is a lot of what you guys are doing.
So
Um,
I'm not 100% sure on that one, but like, in terms of the integration stuff, we're doing a lot of stuff with AI and a lot of stuff with like different takeoff tools. If you go to your
mhm.
settings and you go into integrations, you can go into this API Explorer, and then you're going to see all the different things that JobTread can do. And I'm telling you, it's a very robust API. I mean, some companies don't even give you access or they're paying the butt to get it. So if you have tools, as long as they're open and they play friendly with others, JobTread has made it pretty
Mhm.
clear that they are an open ecosystem that likes to play with others. I mean, look at their marketplace, right? And so that's what makes JobTread so great is that, man, you can give this thing more horsepower, add any kind of bells and whistles. I mean, some of the stuff we're building, it's like it just lives right on top of JobTread, right?
Mhm.
So you can't beat it.
As far as like the imaging, Bryce, I would say too, we've got the ability for you to take scans, like he mentioned earlier, when it comes to things like, I don't know why my mind is blanking, but oh geez, what's the scan where you can scan in the room? Why is my head not working? Hold on.
Render?
Render, good night. Yeah, they're partners of ours as well, but like you have the ability to use Render or Eagle View and you can scan spaces and you can use the parameters, and the measurements that you collect there to bring in and help inform your estimates. And so that's kind of something that you're able to do when it comes to the integration with imaging softwares. So one of
I
my,
mean,
go
oh
ahead.
yeah, and it's great too. And I think, if you're going to use an integrated tool, then it's just you're on that dashboard for the ones that are integrated. You press a button, boom, 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 push over the measurements, right? And it's going to push over something like this that's going to
Mhm.
be in that job budget. And then from there, it's going to do all these different calculations for you, right? I mean, and you can get so advanced. I always just like start simple and then build from there. But like for this one, you see all the time where it's like, people are either in-house, right? And they're doing labor and materials, or they're going to take that trade and they're going to subcontract it out, right? And so for this template here, you can just use it for both, right? And if you put one or zero next to the trade, right, it's going to determine if you're using a sub or not, right? And then from there, it's going to be like, okay, so if we go into what could be a good one here? We went into electrical, right? So I put that we're using a subcontractor for electrical, right? So it only calculated this line item in that cost group, right? But if I said we weren't, then it would calculate materials and labor in that cost group, right? So you can get so advanced with this stuff, it's ridiculous. But if you have a tool that you're using, Hover, Render, Eagle View, just import the job, go look at the parameters in that budget that pop up. Those are the parameters you're going to want to use for your formulas.
Is that one of the things, Render specifically, that you would help them set up if they were to use your services? One guy, Brandon
Oh,
Creel asked.
for sure. I mean, my biggest thing is like when I got into this, it was basically a mission to try to make you guys enjoy doing business a little bit more, right? Because you take this stuff out of it, save you guys time and put you in a position to succeed and be the best at what you're at. And the more I've done these, estimating is the killer, right? Because estimating is an opportunity for you to drive additional revenue. But every time it pops up, you're like so burnt out and you're like, oh, I can't believe I have to go send another estimate. It's going to take me forever, right? If we can change that energy, make it so easy, I'm just telling you, you're going to just drive in the revenue, right? Like we can save so much time with this. So anything on the estimating, our goal is to save you time, right? Integrating those tools,
Mhm.
using these formulas, and just simplifying the madness, the art of the estimate that is such a wild game.
Absolutely. Well, I'll say this. We're going to end on this one because I think it's a good opportunity just for us to remind you about the resources. But Brandon Crockett, different Brandon, said, how do we get the JT implementation schedule that you referenced at the beginning of the webinar?
Can I send it to you, Casey? Because
Yeah,
I that's a new one. Yeah.
he'll send it to me. Now, if you guys make sure that you get the link, I'll go ahead and put the link one more time in case you guys need to take the link with you. I'm going to put the link here in the chat. If you guys click on that, anybody with the link can get to those resources, and then we'll make sure that he has given us everything that you guys have been asking about. We'll put them in there, and you guys will be able to get to those. I'll also put that link in the JobTread Pros Facebook post tomorrow with the link to this
Boom.
webinar in YouTube. I'll make sure it's everywhere that it needs to be so that you guys can get to it. Um, let's see. Okay.
I'll,
Anna Marie, let me answer Anna Marie's question real quick. All you do is upload a photo whenever you create a new job at the bottom of the new job form. That's how you get your photo
boom.
on your dashboard.
So I'll show this is the one I'll share with Casey here. but it's just going to be a Gantt chart, right? So this is going to be the whole process is going to be, let me zoom in here a little bit. I'm going to spend the time on here. But basically, it's going to be like, hey, this is what to do at pre-launch. This is kind of the homework you have to get done and think about prior to launching the project, right? Then the foundation, the midway, the estimates, boom, 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 boom. So it's step by step. So if you follow this, it's going to work, right? But you got to make sure you set a timeline, a deadline, and just execute.
Okay, I think I put that link in just a chat for me and Nick. So now you guys all have access to that drive, that Google Drive link. So, well, hey, listen, Nick, thank you so much, man. It's so great what you guys are doing. We obviously are really appreciative for the help that you've been giving our customers. It takes
Hey,
a village, not just to raise a kid, but to try and help businesses thrive. The ability to leverage good partnerships like this is what makes JobTread special, whether it's someone like Nick and Better Boss or it's people like you guys sharing at things like Connect. The ability to share and help one another and to offer services in the ecosystem of what we do is really what again sets JobTread apart because we really want you to succeed. We want your
hmm
businesses to succeed. We want our partners to succeed. And so, Eric Fortenberry, our CEO, always says that a rising tide lifts all boats. And we believe that to be true. It's one of the things that really makes us all excited to work here at JobTread, us here, and then to have great partners like Nick and Better Boss. So thank you guys so
Hey,
much
can I
again.
give a
Nick,
shout out to you guys though, real quick to JobTread? I want to say
um,
this. Hey, JobTread is the best out there. We tried them all, and they actually do care about you guys winning, and that's why we decided to partner with them too. They hold us at gold standard, and they move so quick that I move so fast, and then sometimes they make me feel slow. So, they are doing all the grind out there for you guys. So we appreciate them as well. So thank you guys.
Absolutely. Make sure that you guys are clicking on that link. That link that I just put up in the chat is the tile within JobTread that's going to take you to their information within the software so that you can get in contact with them. Hopefully, set up some implementation meetings where you guys can talk about how they can help you. There's the link to their website. Nick, again, thank you so much. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate your wife. It was great getting to chat with her on emails. We're getting everything set up. And that's your wife, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. I was thinking if that's your sister, you're going to be really upset. So,
No.
no, I love it. But yeah, thank you guys so much, man. And I hope to see you guys in 2 weeks. Actually, he mentioned earlier Data X. We're going to have a couple of the guys from Data X jump in 2 weeks to give a little bit of a talk on some further automation stuff. The idea here is, again, to help you to learn what tools that you have available to you, make some choices about how you can really get a handle on this software. So again, Nick, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your energy and effort into putting this together, for coming back again and presenting again, not only at Connect, but here for the Pro Spotlight. We hope to see you guys on future trainings. Hope to see you guys in the Think Tank on Thursday with Nick and Sam, and then to see you at our Pro Spotlights in the future. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and we will hope to see you guys soon. Bye, everybody.